I am so tired of seeing people complain about how tofu is gross all over this app and the rest of the internet. So I'm going to try and cook all of the ways that you can cook tofu and see which one is the best so you never make it the wrong way again. I have 13 different types. So I had it like in my head kind of what I wanted to do, but then I couldn't like figure it. I made like a Venn diagram and then I made another diagram and it just didn't work. So to get all my thoughts out, I use color-coded Post-it notes. So the main ways to cook tofu are like stir fry, breaded, fried, deep fried, baked, air fried, raw. So we're gonna stick to the baked, the air fried, deep fried, and the boiled. Let's try it. Okay, so the strategy here is this. I'm gonna use one marinade. It's kind of like our control. The marinade is just some soy sauce, apple cider vinegar, and some water. So we have our one marinade. I have like 3.5 blocks of tofu in here, and this is firm tofu. I have 2 frozen blocks of medium firm tofu, and this is like to get that more chicken-like texture. We froze it and just thawed once. We're going to use the breading for all of them. The breading is just crushed cornflakes, some panko breadcrumbs, and some spices. And then just like a egg substitute for all of them as well. So my egg substitute is just flour, cornstarch, and water. Baked is green, wire cooling rack is deep fried, red is air fried. Great. $4.25 for like 20. Start with the raw one, and then I'll probably die. Okay, first up, we have just marinated and raw. I really like this in salads. It's also really good in something like a vegan poke bowl. So you can totally eat tofu raw. A lot of people don't know this. It's good. It's so good. It just tastes like the marinade. It's delicious. Next, grated, marinated, and baked. So this is really good for tacos. You can actually marinate it in anything that you want. It adds a little bit of crispiness to it. It kind of firms up the tofu a little bit, and you can use this in a taco salad, tacos themselves, like a pulled pork substitute. This one's good. Texture's different. Marinated, breaded, and baked. It's a baked version of anything that you want. So it's just a healthier version of like crispy fried foods, but healthier because it's baked. It's very crispy. Very good. Little dry. Maybe toss it in some sauce after. Marinated and deep fried. This is just firm tofu, marinated and deep fried. This is really good for anything, really. It's adding a little bit of crispiness to the outside. It's marinated, so it's full of flavor. You know what? If you're gonna deep fry it, make it breaded. I don't know that I would just deep fry it on its own. I know people do, but it's kind of meh. It's flavorful, but it's also kind of dry. Next up, we have frozen, marinated, breaded, and then air fried. It has more texture, it's lighter. You're getting more bounce in your mouth. Again, great on top of salads. You can totally just bread it and have it on the side with some vegetables. So we have the grated and boiled. I boiled this in a sauce. The whole idea was kind of like do like a burrito taco, but I added too much sauce and not enough tofu, and I didn't want it grate anymore because this is a lot of tofu. So I'm gonna taste it not as a taco, just like this. The texture is really nice for like a pulled pork substitute or like shredded chicken, shredded beef. Really great for that. And boiling it, of course, it's gonna toughen it up a little bit, but just enough so that it doesn't feel like mush. And it's gonna take the flavor of whatever you eat it with. Marinated, breaded, deep fried. You get that crunch that you get from deep frying, which is so satisfying. Texture, like typical firm tofu, soft, much softer than the baked. Like much softer, which is interesting. Full flavor, both inside out, crunchy, great mouthfeel. Again, you can totally toss these in like buffalo sauce and make wings out of them. Again, nuggets, like a schnitzel or like a katsu, really good. We have marinated and baked. This is probably very dry. No, it's not really dry. It just is kind of like meh. Like, why would you not bread it? You know what I mean? Like, so it's good, but it's kind of just like very basic. Like, this is like, you don't have time to do any sort of breading or anything. Great technique, but we have done many others. Let's do frozen, marinated, breaded, and deep fried. Now, I think this is going to be my favorite one because I love the texture of the frozen. Yeah. The frozen tofu, it's like, it has a really nice texture on the inside, crispy on the outside, very juicy and flavorful. Really good just to dip on their own in like a sauce. Very tasty. Frozen and boiled. Now I like to do this with my ramen or chicken noodle soup but vegan, because it changes the texture, makes the tofu a little bit tougher, but because it's been frozen, it again has that wavy texture that you get when it like expands and freezes. And then you're cooking it in whatever broth you're cooking it in. So it's gonna take on the broth. So this is chicken flavored broth. So it's gonna have a chicken flavor with a great texture. It's so good. And who doesn't love ramen? We have frozen, marinated, breaded, and baked. You get the healthfulness from the baking, but because it was frozen and then marinated, it's very juicy. It's like bouncy, it's juicier. It's not as dry as just the regular. All right, we have marinated and air fried. It's a quick, easy technique. If you're going to air fry it, toss it with some oil and some cornstarch at the very least and throw it in there. Very, very, very flavorful though with the marinade. All right, we have marinated, breaded, and air fried. You would think it would be the same as it being baked, and it is not. I think because the air picks up the oil and like throws it around in there, it's not as dry as if you bake it. Very flavorful, tougher texture, but good. The outside is super crispy, but also like has like a nice softness to it as well. My top 3 for these techniques, and there's so many more ways that we can cook tofu. If you want a video, another one, just let me know in the comment section. But I think in terms of like top 3, I would rank the medium, frozen, marinated, then deep fried, because who doesn't love like a fried chicken substitute? Number 2, I think I would go with the, you know what? I'm gonna combine them. You know what I would do next time? I would toss the grated in a little bit of the sauce, bake it, and then throw it back in the sauce and boil it a little bit, and then throw it into a taco. And then I think number 3 is the boiling, the freezing and boiling, because it gives you that like egg drop like texture in like soups. Very, very good. So I think those are my top 3. And now I'm exhausted because that took all day. Oh my God. Who has time for this much tofu? Whew. All right, so those are many ways to cook tofu. There are many, many more. And in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have doubled up so much, but it was all in the name of science. If you would like more ways to cook tofu that we can test out, maybe some braising, maybe some poaching, let me know in the comment section. And if you want me to do this test with another food, also let me know. I may or may not do it depending on how much I like the food. Okay, bye, get out of my kitchen.